If you can hear me, if you can see me, give me a shout, say hi. We're making this today. Yay! That's what everybody's been waiting for. Yeah. Bit enthusiastic today. Yeah, just say hi. Let me know if you can hear me. I've got questions and answers going on in here. Let me just bring the table over. Okay. So we have quite a few that have just come in. 9 of you. Wow, that's quite a lot. I can see you and hear you. Yay! Yay! Evening. Heidi. Oh god, there's a few now. Right, okay. Hi everybody. Yeah. Right, hi. We've got some new members. Say hi. Hi new members. Some of them don't want to introduce themselves because they're a bit shy. So if you see a new name pop up, just introduce yourself. Those new members came in over the last couple of weeks regarding obviously Sewing Street, I think. Right, so if you're new, Dawn, hi. First live, hi. Right, okay, so if you are new and you don't know how this group works, so 3 times a month I go live. It mostly is on a Tuesday, but sometimes can be on another day. Husband's laughing. Basically, I teach the patterns that I release within the group. Now, sometimes they're not full patterns like this one. Is basically pattern sheets and templates and basic cutting out and measurements. But eventually this is coming a pattern, so don't buy it when it goes on general release. You will actually physically get this pattern uploaded into the group. Downloading's for free. If you want a paper copy of any of the sheets and you're ordering from the shop, postage is free. Not postage, it will be printed for free if you're buying something from the shop, if it's just print out pages. If it's not print out pages and it's a full-blown pattern, buy it from the shop, but don't forget to use your discount. Now, if you forget to use your discount, it's no biggie. Private message me. I can add your take your discount off and refund that excess amount. Only if you message me, because Michael sometimes checks, prints off the invoices, and he doesn't always see. And yeah, right. So we're doing this one today. Oh, and also any of the patterns that you see in the digital download file at the top, or the file section, and you're one of those people that needs a video to sew along to, all the videos are in that group, in the group within the media section. So it will either be under video or photos, depending on the device that you're watching it on. Some of the patterns that I've been uploading recently are actually YouTube videos. They're just basically before this club ever started, and you're getting those as well. Right, okay. Let me just see if there's any messages. No, Michelle, because you didn't message me. If you messaged me, I can't do it as after the package is gone. But if you message me as you actually check out, or you forget to check out, then basically message me and I can actually do that refund for you. You did refund me. I know I did. I know. Right, okay, so this is called the mini project case. This case has had a video within this group. There is one section missing, which is a club exclusive, which we are going to make over the next 3 sessions. It's in one of those sessions. This is part of the Keep It Together range. So the Keep It Together bag, that big chunky bag that you can put all the, which has got all the pages in. This is just a basic small version that you can take on holiday, because obviously you can't take that big monster of a bag on holiday. So this is just something handy. At the moment I've just got my art stuff in my design pad in there. In there's just a few some things that are giving me inspiration from past things that I bought. But the thing that you're going to get extra is, you see this centre bit here, there's going to actually be a flapping page, and that's going to just have a zip pocket on. Just means that you can carry extra bits. Now I will use one of these, the one that I'm making, to go on holiday at the end of the month with my EPP in, because I've always got to be sewing something. So make sure when you download the pattern pieces, you measure this square in the corner. This is a 1 inch square. It should measure 1 inch square. So when you're printing out these this sheet, and there is some spelling mistakes I have noticed today, and some grammar mistakes today. When you measure this and print it out, make sure you print out at actual size or 100%. There is 2 templates at the back that you need to cut out, and you're basically just cutting them out on the outer edge of the black line. So as you can see, it's the outer edge. I haven't cut it that well there. To the human eye, it's not that much. The pockets here, just a quick one. These pockets here, you can either use mesh or you can use PVC. The mesh, what I'm talking about is if you have had the, well, most of you had, I've just got one more box to go out. The mesh is by Annie, and it's in the sub boxes. So tier 2 and tier 3 would have had sub boxes with the mesh in. So the mesh isn't your standard mesh that you get round like your apples at the greengrocers or anything. It's actually really, it's not thick, but it holds structure. So this is by Annie, which is an American bag maker. And we do sell some on the meter, but only in that one colour. However, Laura, Little Stitcher Sews, who's in the group, I don't know if she's watching, sells the packs. She's got a variety of colours in, so that's the Little Stitcher Sews. I'll put a link to these packs. She's got quite a lot of colours in. I've got the pink one just from her recently. So that's for another up and coming project. Right, so I'm going to, back on the iPad, still on the iPad guys, and I'm really sorry about this, tilt the iPad down and just basically talk you through everything. Any questions, don't hesitate to ask. Right, okay. Sorry, motion sickness. Right, okay, so obviously you've got your blur that you've got at the front. Basically why I've designed it, what you can do. I do stress at the bottom, I've had one previously to any new members that don't know the background. People that have come into the group, downloaded the patterns and taken them away and started teaching them. That is a no-go for me. These are my patterns, this is what I make my money from. If you do want to teach them in a class, please message me. We can come up with an agreement. You pay me or you buy X amount of patterns off me. So I'm just stressing you, there is copyright at the bottom. The bit that someone private messaged me today regarding this bit here, which is what you will need. They had a sub box. They were in sub tier 3. Tier 3 would have practically got everything on here apart from a few things, which would have been your stabilizers, your interfacings, your fusible fleece and your sewing foam. You wouldn't have got that. But they did notice, because obviously tier 3 get fabric in their box, there is actually required a third fat quarter. Now the third fat quarter can be anything. It can be a matching colour, but it will be seen on the actual fabric, on the actual case. So when you do come to actually use or want to buy or use something from your stash, that fabric, make sure it kind of matches the colour scheme that you're going for. Now, I'm not saying you have to use this fabric that came in the box. You can use whatever you want to. In the pattern, also, someone pointed out that in the cutting guide, it just says contrast fabric. But there is actually 3 contrast fabrics mentioned up here. It's a mix and match project. So if you think for instance, you got green, pink and orange. If you think the orange works better on this area, on this part here, cut the orange. I've just left it as contrast fabric, so you can actually just choose out of one of those. Now, out of one of these fat quarters, you need to keep back, and that's going to be for your bias binding. Now, the reason why I'm saying that you need to keep it for your bias binding is because you do need some long strips without having to join them together. The longest strip that you need is for this part here. I find I've got a join in, I did this twice and I had a join in it. And if the join ends up on one of these corners here, it goes bumpy. And I know a lot of people are saying, my binding is always wobbly. I couldn't get rid of it, so I redid this part here with one long strip. So the longest strip you cut will do the flap, and that's basically, pretend this is your fat quarter fabric. This part here will generate your longest strip, so save that longest strip there for just this flat part here. Then join all those other strips that you cut out from either side of that long strip for going around the actual case. I think it's because I've chosen a tight curve here, so that is just a warning. And you need to basically, one of the fat quarters mentioned up here, I do actually say use this as your bias binding. Just keep that one back until you come to need to use the actual do the bias binding. Now, this part here at the optional cutting out extra is for the club members only. So when I rewrite this as a proper pattern for general release, this part won't be in the actual pattern. So this is going to be inside. This part here, there's going to be like a leaf that you can move from side to side. That's going to be what we call as an extra pocket. And you can actually make 2 of those, but there is only allocated in the fabric measurements of what you need for 1 pocket. Now, if you're doing 2, where I implement the other one, you will implement it on the opposite side. But I will talk to you about that, and I think that comes in next week's sew along. Right, so let me close that. So then you've basically got all your cutting out for the general bag. So this is for the general case, all of this going down to here. And then this is just a bit about the bias binding. Now, if you're new to the group, when I use bias binding in a project, I will say you need to refer back to a YouTube video that is on my channel. Now, I do give the title here. However, if you're struggling to find that YouTube video on how to cut bias binding and how to sew it together and how to press it, please let me know and I will send you the link. It's a very easy tutorial, and it's how I don't do the tube method because I've never been taught that. I do the square, cut 2 triangles and then do a perpendicular or whatever it's called, kind of slanty thing, and then cut my strips and then join them together. Right, so underneath this bit here where it's about the bias binding, we go into basic steps. So here, and the last page of instructions is basic steps. When I say basic, it's really basic. All I'm basically saying is this is where you attach the flap. This is where you add 1 inch in, or you measure 1 inch in. When the pattern is released, you will get the pattern uploaded for free in the group with all the photographs, so you won't ever have to watch this video back and hear my voice. So so tonight we are doing between steps 1 to 4, because there is quite a few steps in steps 1 to 4 anyway. I've just put the basic steps there. So tonight we are going to be doing the flap here and the outer zip pocket, and then we're going to attach the main outer panel to the foam, and then I will leave it at that tonight, so you guys can, if you want to sew over the next week, you can. So you'll need your long strip of bias binding, you'll need a little bit of fusible fleece, you'll need your magnetic snap. So those people that thought that was a sweet, it's a magnetic snap in the actual sub boxes. You'll need a 10-inch zip. However, that zip that came in the sub boxes, the one that's got the zip pull that says handmade, that's by Country Cow Designs. That's for the outside. You don't really want to put it on the inside where no one can see it, so the inside ones are here. So it's actually for the outside here. This zip that you get in your actual sub boxes will make all the zips for the pattern, plus the one, the extra page that I'm going to be making next week. So just bear in mind, you need to cut it exactly the length that the pattern says, and then you'll get the correct amount out of that 1 metre and something that you got in the actual sub boxes. Right, so I've got my flap. I've gone for a contrast and a main. Both of them I've got Fuse It non-woven on, and the one that I'm having as my top layer, which is the one that's seen, has got the fusible fleece on. But both of them have got fusible interfacing on. Then my outer zip pocket. So you got one piece on the top, and then you'll have a piece at the bottom, but there is actually two layers of fabric on the piece on the bottom. One's the lining and one's the outer. So my top, I've got my contrast fabric. I've got fusible interfacing on the back, which is Fuse It non-woven, and I'll get to why I've pressed that in a short while. And then for the bottom pieces, I've gone for a contrast as well as a main. When you're cutting the main, now you'll notice, let me turn it this way. When you're cutting the main piece of fabric for your bottom edge of your zip, make sure the fabric is going the correct way. Now this is actually my lining, because I want this on my outside, this contrast, and then when my pocket, my flap comes over, then I've got the actual flap as a contrast. Then I'll have this one here, then my pink, my strap piece there, which we're not attaching today, and then obviously I've got the birdies on this part here, which is the back part. So just have a think, have a play with the fabrics and see which way you want them to fall. Now I've got the main fabric is the bird fabric in our case, and I've got interfacing on the back of that as well. You'll need a piece of foam, and ideally, I haven't actually got enough of this foam in my own stash. However, when you actually pop this on, you'll need 1/2 inch all the way around here, all the way around. It needs to be bigger. The foam needs to be bigger than your actual main panel. Let's see if we can go higher up. There you go. Right, so your foam needs to be bigger all the way around. However, the piece that I've got is actually here and here. It's actually dead on. please bear in mind that if it's dead on, you've got to really make sure that foam is literally dead on, because what happens is the foam is sandwiched between here, and I've allocated that in the binding, so it means that the binding is going to be nice and tight around there, because there's nothing worse than a baggy binding going around. Right, okay, so I'm going to start off with the flap. Right, so we're going on section 1, and we're going to need the magnetic snap. So you're going to open your sweetie up, pop your 2 washers to one side, and separate the male and female. So if you're new to magnetic snaps, this is your male, the one with the little pimple sticking out, and then this is your female, the one with the crater that's going in. That's the best way I can describe it. I'm sorry, that's probably making a lot of you chuckle. We're going to need 1 washer, and you're going to need your male part, which is the thinnest part. So that's the female is the widest, because it's got the magnet inside, and then you've got the male. We're going to pop the female and the other washer to one side, and you'll need that little piece of interface, fusible fleece. You should have a bit left over on the side or something with this piece here. Now if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask. So we're going to work on the lining piece first, and we're going to work on the right side of the lining piece. So my lining piece is what I've classed as a contrast lining piece, and it's the one that you haven't fused the fusible fleece to. You're going to fold this in half, and you're going to find the centre of that curve, and you're going to give it a good press, a finger press. Then you're going to mark it. I'll turn it around so you guys can see it and go. Okay, so I've marked where that centre is. Then I'm going to measure up. Right, so I'm going to measure up, and I'm going to measure up 1 inch, and then I'm going to mark. Yep. So now you probably won't see that, but there is a little mark there. You can just see it, it's just there. Right, okay, so you're going to get your washer, and your washer will have generally a hole in the middle and 2 slits on either side. You're going to pop that hole over that mark. So and then you're going to draw on in those 2 slits. Now, I have got 2 slits there, it's because this is white. Okay, where those 2 slits are, you're going to cut into. Now, you can brave it if you want to. You can pop a pin at the end of the 2 slits. I'll do the one. So you've got a pin at the end of your 2 slits here, and then you get a quick unpick. Where's my quick unpick? There. Get your quick unpick, and on one of them, start where the mark starts. Get your quick unpick, stab it all the way through. As you can see, you can probably just see that, which is there. And then basically go down to where that pin is. Where that pin is, it's stopping you, so it can't go any further. However, you can do a Stanley knife trick as well. Now if you've got fray stop or fray check, you need to dab some on those areas. of where you've just cut. It's to stop it from fraying. While that's just setting, you need to cut a little bit of fusible fleece. Don't need it that big. You need it around about 1 inch square. Then you're going to fold it in half. You're just going to put a snip and then a snip about another 1/4 of an inch away. And then obviously you've got one that's got 2 holes in it. Now that should have dried a little bit. So you've got prongs on the back of your male part of the snap. You're going to pop those prongs through from the right side, way to the back. Then you're going to get that piece of fusible fleece that you've just cut, and you're going to pop that over. And then you're going to get your washer, and where those 2 slits are going to go over the back. Now, it really doesn't matter if you push the prongs in or out. It doesn't matter. I have no squabbles over that. I generally do push them in if I can, but it's no biggie if you push them out, as long as they're fully out. Now I've got a bit of fusible fleece that's coming quite into my seam allowance. I'm going to get rid of that. So I've got my scissors at like just an angle, 30-degree angle, just to trim back that little bit of excess. Right, so I'm going to cover that up, because what will happen is, even though I've got fusible fleece there, what will happen is because this is the front part, over time and use, these little prongs will start cutting holes in this area here. So because we're quite close to the seam allowance here, you can put this tape on this piece here. When I say tape, I mean gaffer tape or duct tape. Other brands are available. It doesn't have to be the expensive stuff, but you just need a small amount to cover those prongs. So I'm just going to do just over 1 inch square, and I'm going to kind of eyeball where that magnetic snap will fall, which is there, and then just stick that in. Now it's going to be in the seam allowance, that's fine. Just for this little piece it's fine, it's not going to damage your sewing machine. Then the next thing you're going to do is pop these wrong sides together and clip all the way around. Making sure that tape is on top of those and making sure the edges all match up. Right, so on your sewing machine you need Gutermann sew-all thread or a polyester thread, because using a polyester thread will give you that elasticity, and especially if you're doing the bias bind and you've got that corner, it gives you that nice elasticity going around that corner. You'll need definitely a size 90-14 in, but if you could get a size 16 needle, universal 16 needle. Michael's getting the cake already. If you've got a size 16 needle, put it in, because there is some really bulky areas within the machine, within this sewn project. Right, so let me just get rid of this part there. Right, so on my sewing machine I've got a Teflon foot, because I'm using my heavy duty sewing machine because I'm sewing stuff at the moment for the house. However, if I was using my industrials, my non-industrial sewing machine, I would have a walking footer on at this point. Got my Gutermann sew-all thread, as you can see here, and I've actually got a size 16 needle in, but I've only got a size 16 needle in because of the project that I'm working on in the background. Right, so you're going to sew all the way around, you're going to base stitch. Now the whole pattern is 1/4 of an inch seam allowance all the way around. So we're going to base this at 1/8 of an inch away from the edge, and you're going to do it all the way around. When I say 1/8 of an inch, I mean 1/8 of an inch. You don't want those stitches to be 1/4 of an inch in, because you will see it underneath the binding when you put the binding on. Next thing is, a basting stitch is anything like a stitch 4 upwards, so a length of 4, but I'm going to knock mine up to a size 5. Even though this machine goes up to a size 6, I just think that's a bit too much. Just make sure your fabric is flat and it's definitely going to the edge. Okay. And you make sure you reverse your stitch at the start and at the end. Now, hopefully you're catching all the layers. If not, it's no biggie, and we can sort that out. Yeah, I've cut all the layers. Now, if you haven't cut all the layers, just do what I did on that last part. I stretched it just a little bit. Just a little tug will get you the layers back into shape. Right. Okay, so the next thing you're going to do, we're going to attach the bows, round off these top corners here. So the next measurement that you'll need is 1/2 an inch. Right, so get a quilter's rule. I'm going to use a friction pen so you can see it this time. I'm going to get a friction pen, and these top corners here, we're going to measure 1/2 an inch down from the top edge down, and then 1/2 an inch in, and you should have a square. Well, you're not going to draw the square, but it should be equal amounts. So I've got my 2 lines there, and I'm going to repeat the same on this side as well. Okay, so you've got your 2 markings. Now you're going to find something that's round and going to give you a nice average curve. So I tend to find a standard spool, pop that down. So you've got 1 mark here and 1 mark there, and you're going to pop that down, and you're just going to match up those 2 marks. So my 1 mark's there, my 1 mark's here, and it's on the either edge of the actual round object that you're drawing round. And same again on this side. No foot lift. Kept going where yeah, Len, you've got the same kind of features of what I have on the Elna 780 plus, haven't you? And yeah, I tend to do the same with this one here. Stamp my foot on the other pedal, which is not there because the other machine's got 2 pedals. And expecting when I go around corners, the foot's going to rise up. it doesn't rise up. I've got to do it manually. So what I'm doing is cutting around that little curve and on the drawn line. Okay, and you should just have two nice evenly curved lines and gradual curved lines. Right, I'm just going to grab a drink. Right, so you're going to get your bias binding, and in the video I tell you how to cut it and how to press it. This has got a join on it, so I'm going to go for the longest part. I'm using some leftover stuff from another project. My join is here, so I'm going to go from this part here to where my join is. That should be enough. So your first part, you're going to turn on your iron. Your first end, you're going to fold in by 1/4 inch. So make sure it's a straight, not straight, but on a 45-degree angle, and that your fabric, you've got fabric on both sides. Now if you saw what I cut off, I hadn't got a bit of fabric on this side here. So you need to just make sure you've got fabric, but it's still on an angle. You're going to open it up. Hang on, let's do that properly. Open it up and do it at a 45-degree angle. Then you're going to fold this in by 1/4 inch and give that a press. If you're using this pink fabric, don't get scared. It does change colour, but it bounces back. It goes back to the normal colour. I don't know why. Pinks and reds and oranges always change a different colour when you iron it. Okay. Okay, so it should be something like this and a neat finish at the end. You won't see this part that's sticking out. Okay, so working on the top straight edge, you're going to pop that bit there, that's where the neat fold over it, in the centre, or eyeballing in the centre. I'm opening up the actual fold, and this is my right side of my binding. So my right side of my binding is going to the right side of the fabric. And I'm going to pop that just there and clip. And then I'm just going to clip all the way around. Now, if you don't mind, I need to turn it around for my sake. Okay. Okay, so you're going to go to that first corner. Now we will have to slightly snip into this corner. Okay, so you're going to need some snips. And where the corner is, you're just going to snip about 1/4 inch in to that actual, before you get to that folded line. And you're going to do that a few times. You're going to do it at least twice. Could possibly need it a third time. Yeah, so I've only done 2, but it's gone nice and flush around that corner. I have got some kinks. Those kinks will be ironed out eventually. So as you can see, I've got two snips in that corner. You won't need to snip around this large curve here. Let's get some clips. Now if it's rolling up here, quick trick, if you've got a EPP or a Soline piece of glue, just pop some glue there and it holds down the binding for you so it doesn't pop up. So that bit was popping up a bit. Just stick it down. So what's everybody, if they're going to make this, what are you going to keep in it? I'm definitely going to I'm going to make 2. Well, obviously I've got a third one because I've got the sample. But my this one is going to be for EPP. I've got a second one which is going to be for my hoop work, which is my embroidery work. And then obviously I've got that one over there which is for my art. Right, so I've come to that one sharp corner. I'm going to snip 1/4 inch into that seam and then another one about 1/4 inch away from it. And then just pop your finger where that curve is, those two where the curve starts and finishes. And you're just going to pop the clip on that actual corner. Yeah, you've got a few kinks there, we will get rid of those. Okay, so you got your folded part here. You're going to keep your binding open and then you're going to pop it on top of that folded piece there. So make sure your fold of your binding that you've got open matches up with that folded line there as well. And you're just going to pop a clip right on that part there. And then I'm going to leave that gap because that's where my presser foot's going to start off. So I'm going to now cut off at about 1.5 to 1.75 inches away from where that fold is. And just obviously clip that into place and that into place. Okay, so when you're sewing on your sewing machine, you're going to start off from that fold. And the reason being is, if you start here or just after that, you can actually have some bumps. Now, a lot of people have said that I've got some excess left over. It's because you've started off this part here. Now, if you start off as where that fold is at the bottom, so you start off round about here, I can guarantee you will not have any bumps and stuff. You will have bumps. I can't guarantee you will get rid of the bumps, but I mean you won't have any excess binding where it scrunches up. You're going to sew on that fold. So that fold that we've opened up, that actual crease line going all the way around, you're going to actually sew, and you're going to start off this side and go over that bit there. So always make sure you're actually sewing going over that bit first rather than last. When we come to these corners here, you're going to knock down your stitch length. So for the rest of this, I'm going to stitch at 2.4, but when I come to these parts here, I'm going to knock it down to a stitch length number 2. Just means that I can get the needle to sit properly and go tightly around that corner and around this corner here. Right. Okay. So I've got it just before where that first fold starts. I'm going to pop my needle down and change my stitch length. There you go. I'm going to reverse my stitch before I actually go forward. I'm going to do like 3 or 4 stitches and then go forward. And you're going to do it nice and slowly. Now, because this corner bit is going to get in the way, you need like a stiletto or a tailor's awl. Got tailor's awl. I'm just going to hold it out the way so your fingers are not going to get caught. I need this hand. I'm caggy handed. I don't know if anybody else is caggy handed. But just hold it down. So now I'm coming to a corner, you're going to have to lift up that presser foot. Then I'm going to bring down my stitch length to a number 2, just to go nice and tight around that corner. Then I've gone about half an inch past that corner and knock my stitch length back to 2.4 or 2.5 depending on your machine. So don't forget you've got a magnetic snap part here. So just make sure you're not going to be sewing anywhere. My magnetic snap finishes about a 1/4 of an inch away from that fold. If your magnetic snap is anywhere near that crease, it means that you've done it wrong. You might need to unpick everything and readjust. So I'm knocking my stitch length down to number 2, just to go around that corner. I've gone past half an inch and then just going back to a standard stitch length. And then you've got on the last stretch. If I'm missing any questions, I apologise. I will go back and have a look now, just in case. Right, okay. Oh God, there's quite a lot of conversation going on here. Oh, that's nice. People are welcoming people. Wow. It's the magic unicorn. It is. I love that unicorn tape. I'm slowly running out of it. Took me twice as long having to hand crank. I love my hand crank sewing machine. I haven't used it since I was about 12, but I love it. My fingers got caught Sunday. Oh, it wasn't as bad as I expected. Yeah. Just don't sew through your needle, through your finger like I did that once. Okay. Right, so you're going to bring this out. Now, it's hit and miss because I have made this part quite a few times. If the binding, yeah. Right, so what I did was I folded this over to the other side. Now if the binding's not hitting where that sew line is, where you sewed before, you need to trim about 1/8 of an inch off all the way around. So you're going to peel back the binding and you're going to just slowly trim back about 1/8 of an inch all the way around. Only marginal. But I'm peeling back that binding. It just means that you've got a neat finish binding. Now because I put some glue there, I'm just going to peel that off. done 1/8 of an inch all the way around, and that should be where your stitches are within that 1/8 of an inch when you base stitched it all together. Let's take this off. Coming into summer, the hood is making me warm. Right, so this part here, where the folded part is, you're going to just open that binding up, and what you're going to do is fold that fold over the binding underneath, flip this over and bring that binding over. Now if I just pull that a bit, might need a little bit more of this actually, no, it's fine. Where the binding is, it should just sit below that stitch line there. So you've got the orange stitch line there. Your binding edge should just sit below it. You're going to clip that into place. You're going to go and do that all the way around. Now if you've got any kinks here, get your iron and put it up on some steam. Now I haven't got any steam in this, and this should flatten it out a bit. Can't guarantee it'll flatten it out completely, but it'll flatten it out. So just gonna, while the iron is warming up, just add a few more clips in. And just on this side as well, I'm not going to touch that pit yet because obviously that's where I want to shrink it a bit more. Right, so trick of the trade, and I know I get asked this quite a lot. With the bias binding, people sometimes say, how come you don't get any kinks around the corner? Sometimes it's pot luck and sometimes it isn't. Right, so I actually don't start, when I cut my bias binding, I don't steam the fabric. I don't iron the fabric before I actually until I actually do all the pressing of the folds, and then I don't add steam on to the bias binding until this part here. Now this part, adding steam will shrink the fabric a little bit more, because when you actually, the fabric is printed or the colour dye is put in, they put a treatment on it, and the treatment is to stop it from shrinking in the process. Now unfortunately, because it's to stop it from shrinking, that means that the fabric will shrink when you come to make your garment or your project that you're doing. And people say cotton shouldn't shrink. It shouldn't. It's the pre-treatment of the actual designs. So it will shrink. So the way I get around that is press that, pop some steam on that. Because I haven't got steam in my iron, I'm just going to pop some press. I've got my spritzer bottle and I'm just going to shrink that area. And what that does is get away with most of the bumps. Ignore that bit at the back. I've got to show you what to do with that in a minute. Okay, same with that side. Let that water go into that a bit because I did overspray that. Right, so you're going to mitre this corner at the back. So you're going to pull it, the binding, and then it is going to overlap. However, you don't see this part at the back of here because it is actually sewn here, round about an inch of sewn, and you don't see this fold when you actually attach this to the case. So don't think it has to be perfect, it doesn't. So it will have Amazon, so it comes in sets of 2. Got a large and a small one. The small one I take on holiday or if I'm going to like Sewing Street. And then this one's my large one. Now you don't have to keep pressing the button like a normal spritzer because it's got a canister in the middle that generates air. So it generates, when you're not using it, there's an air pocket, that little tube inside. And all you have to do is press it once and the water still carries on coming out. And it's a mist as well. Bit like what hairdressers used to use or do use now. Don't know. Not 100%. And I'm got a kink here. It should come out to the best ability. Yeah, it's coming out. And just going to mitre that corner at the back. Yeah, I originally got mine for cleaning. However, I ended up using them for quilting because I'm a quilter that doesn't like to use steam within the iron, but I don't mind spritzing, especially if I need to press the seam open. I'll spritz the seam first. Okay, so I'm just going to shrink this part here now to give me a nice tight finish. Okay, I'll just go around this part here. Now you can go around actually gluing this with your Soline pen glue rather than using clips. I'm just a clip person. I don't do this on the main bag, I just do it on the flat because it's seen the most. It's the most dominant part of the actual case. Keep calling it a bag, it's a case. I'm just going to sort out that little corner there. That's better. Okay. Make sure it's lying flat before you go to your iron, and make sure the binding is still past that sewn line all the way around. So you're going to go to your sewing machine and you're going to use a stitch length 2.5 to go around, or a number 3. Got a few kinks in that, but I'll sort that out in a bit. Okay, and then you're going to sew from this side. You're going to sew, where's my tailor's all? A bit messy. Right, so I'm going to sew about 1/8 in from the edge, inner edge, all the way around. So sewing at 1/8 inch in means that we're going to catch the back of the actual binding. And I'm going to start off where that fold is. So that fold is there. So I'm going to start just off the fold. Where the fold is on this side is on this part here. I'm going to start off here. You can reverse your stitch. I've got no problems with people reversing stitches. I know some designers don't like you reversing stitches, but I'd rather you reverse your stitch and back stitch, and basically means that you're gonna not have to unpick it or anything. Stitch length 2.4, and just take it nice and slow. and I'm just going to reverse my stitch. And I got my tailor's awl just to help me guide it through. Bit wobbly there, but it doesn't matter. Last bit. Making sure you've caught all underneath, which you have. Now it will be messy in that corner and that corner. Don't stress, they're hidden within another sewn line anyway. Let me just do it here. So that's out of the way. Then you're going to pop this to one side, just getting rid of any loose pieces of thread. So like I said before, you're just stitching on the inner part of the binding, not the outer part. Now it should be quite nice and neat on this edge here. However, in those two top corners, don't stress, they're hidden. Right, so you're going to need your pocket pieces next. And we're going to go on to step 3. There's quite a few steps in this one, so I'm going to keep this here. So the first bit you're going to do is on your top piece of your pocket, which is this piece here, you're going to fold one of the edges in. So if you've got a directional print, make sure it's the correct directional. So if you've got the birds and they're pointing this way, which they should be, or that way, shall I say, if you've cut it that way, whatever the fabric is that you're using, if you've cut it that way and this is your bottom part of the fabric, make sure you fold the right side, which is the top side. And you're just folding it in approximately 1/4 inch inside. And give it a really good press. So we need to attach the male part of the snap. And I've just chucked that. You'll need the other part of the fusible fleece that I cut off. Right, so on the bottom edge, bottom long edge, you're going to fold this in half and find the centre. And you're going to mark it. Okay. Making sure that's straight. Then from that, you're going to measure, hang on, attach the snap on the bottom edge of the bottom outer pocket. Yeah, you're going to measure up 1 1/4 inches and mark. So that's 1 1/4 inches. And you're going to mark. take that pin out. I've got a mark there. And you're going to get your washer, like before, pop that on top and draw your 2 slits. Okay, then you're going to, depending on what tool you use to cut, I'm using a crafter's knife, which needs a new blade in. Okay, and then you're just going to pop some fray check onto that bit, or fray stop, depending on what brand you use. I can't get this at the moment, this into the shop. I've been trying for the last couple of weeks. A lot of the wholesalers are sold out. There is actually a thing where you need an insurance to send it through the post because it's classed as a solvent, which I've got the insurance on my normal business insurance. So you're going to cut a 1-inch square of fusible fleece and then just cut 2 slits in like last time, 1/4 inch apart. And you just got 2 little holes there. You're going to get them female, pop the prongs through the right side to the wrong side, flip it over, add your fusible fleece, your washer over the prongs, and point in or out depending on how you feel that day. I'm just going to cut a bit of this excess off. Don't need all of that. I'm cutting it away because it makes the pocket a bit bulky if you leave it in. And then you're just going to get some unicorn tape and just stick a little piece over that. Oh, his head's chopped off there, or hers. And stick that over. Okay, and then obviously this will be a closure on the bag, obviously, and then your pocket. Right, so you're going to get your lining piece, and obviously these are both been interfaced, and on your top edge here you're going to get your lining right side facing down and match up the 2 top edges. Now I'm hoping I've cut these right, slightly off, but doesn't matter. And then you're just going to clip along that edge. Sorry, I've got to turn it this way. No, we're not going to do that, sorry. We've got a zip to put in. Right, okay, so now we've done the male part of the snap, we're going to work with the top part of the pocket. Ignore that bit there. Where the fold is, that's your top. We're working on the bottom edge. And you're going to get the quilter's tape. Quilter's tape and run it along that edge. Okay, peel off that backing. Burnish that area. Okay. Oh, you're talking about my unicorn tape? I love my unicorn tape. Or you're talking about wash away tape? Do you? I do that already, but I think Becky is cool. Okay. Right, so I'm going to flip this zip over so it's right side facing down, and we're going to pop this edge to edge. Okay, and then you're just going to run quilter's tape along that edge of that zip. And the reason why we're doing this is we're not going to, no, we're not, that's the wrong piece. Oh no, come off. Sorry guys, this piece is not needed. And there's a reason for that is, see here, this sew line here, this is my top part of the pocket. This is actually sewn onto the main body. So what we need to do is just fold this so it's in place. So you're going to fold it and then you're going to actually, and this is where the quilter's tape comes on. You're going to open that fold, and where that fold line is, you're going to run quilter's tape, and that's where I should have put it. About 2 months ago when I designed that case, and I haven't actually made another one. Should have actually made another one. Okay. Alright, so you're going to fold this back, and what you need is the fabric to actually be about 1/16 away from the actual teeth. So you're going to stick it down as you go along. Now if you've got a wonky zip, before you actually do all this prep work of sticking it into place, you need to steam your zip. So when you get your zip, you just give it a good iron, spritz of water or steam on your iron. That will make the zip straight, and it'll take any shrinking out of the zip. Right, so we've now done that part. We're not going to touch that part because we've only got one actual sew line, and that's for when we attach it to the main body piece. So the next is we're going to run quilter's tape on this side of the zip, and it's going to run between those two pieces of fabric, two edges of the fabric. There and there. And you're going to get the bottom part that's got the magnetic snap attachment. And you're going to stick this part, which hasn't got the magnetic snap part, to this part. I will turn it round so you guys can see it. But the two edges of this fabric need to be either side, actually parallel with the actual outer edge of the top part. And you're matching up that edge at the bottom. So it should look like that to you when you've got it in front of you. And then basically you've got that part there. You're going to flip this over, and you're going to run quilter's tape along that part there. And then you're going to get your lining bottom part and stick that right side facing down to the wrong side of the zip, because this is the wrong side of the zip now. And make sure if you've got a directional or print, if it's one way, this is the bottom part of your actual pocket. So you'll want the birds to go down if you're doing it exactly the same way as I'm going to be doing it. But you don't have to. You can actually have the birds on the outside if you want to. Okay, so you've got your sandwich. So you've got your top half here, which is folded down neatly. Then you've got your top layer of your actual pocket piece here, and your bottom layer here, your lining layer underneath this part here. You're going to get your zipper foot onto your sewing machine, and you're going to sew, and this is going to be a different seam allowance for normal. This is going to be 3/8 of an inch seam allowance. So that's from this edge here, and you're just going to sew from edge to edge. Let me just have a bit of a tidy up. This is my OCD kicking in. It's a bit of a mess, so sorry guys. I've got an OCD problem. Right, okay. So I'm going to change over to my zipper foot. I've got one of the old-fashioned, I call them old-fashioned, but they're still on machines today, so sure your stitch length is at 2.4. And you're going to reverse your stitch at the start and at the end just to make sure that you've got it perfectly. Now that washi away tape will not harm your machine. And this is 3/8 of an inch seam allowance. Now when you come to that zip pull, make sure your needle is down before you come to move it. So I'm going to make sure my needle is down, lift up my presser foot, open up the sandwich and just move that zip pull to the other end. And then just carry on sewing. Okay, and that's the only time in this part of the case you'll need this zip foot on. So I'm now going to just take it off. Oh, a bit crooked there, sorry guys. Okay, so next thing you're going to do is open up, close that zip, open up the bottom and the lining and give it a good press. And you should be left with, bring this down. So you should have no lining on the top, but you should have lining on the bottom edge of that zip. You're just going to give that a nice press. And what you're doing is pressing both seams. It would help if it's on. Okay, so you should have, let me just tilt that way, that's better. So you should have a pocket like that. Obviously no lining on this part here. So on that bottom bit, you're going to top stitch 1/8 of an inch away from that fold along that edge, as close as you can get it to that edge. I say 1/8 of an inch. And you're going to do a stitch length number 3 or 3.5, depending on what your top stitching is on your sewing machine. Now that does vary, but an average is 3 to 3.5. You don't need to reverse your stitch. And you're going to do a second row because you're going to be opening and closing this pocket quite a bit. Just going to lift up my presser foot. Okay, so I've done the first row. Then you're going to measure 1/4 of an inch down or use a guide on your sewing presser foot and sew another line. And there's a reason for that, is because this part is going to be, this top part is going to be physically attached to the foam, and this will take a lot of strain. So it's best to just give it 2 sewn lines. So where my row of stitches is, it's on the edge of the foot here. So it's just approximately under 1/4 of an inch away. But what's happening is it's catching actually the lining layer as well as the top layer as well as the zip, again, the zip tape. And then I've just got 2 rows of line of sewing in there. Right, okay, so next thing you need to do is pop this onto your pocket, because I know I've done a mistake in the past. I made the mock-up before I made this one and I attached it all in the wrong place. So when you have your, right, so it's that way to you guys. When you have your main body, this is your main body, further, might be best to come up here. This is your main body. You want the handmade zip to go from the top rather than the bottom. So this is going to be trial and error. So why I have overhang zip is for the fact that I can actually cut off where those pieces of thread is sewn, and I can actually pop the zip pull back on the correct way. So you'll need your zip pull going down. Now, as you can see, this is on the, I'm dyslexic, so Michael, is that the right hand side? Yeah. Sorry, I'm really dyslexic with my lefts and rights. I have to walk around doing an L shape. So you'll need the actual pocket on the right hand side, because when you close this up, it will be on, it's opposite the fold, and it means that this is going to clip in the right place. Oh my god, I don't think I've explained that properly right, but I'm going to show you anyway. So this is how I did mine. I fold it. I fold it and make sure the fold is on my left hand side. Sorry, I'm doing an L shape here. So I fold it so it's on my left hand side. So the centre, the spine, is on my left hand side when I open up the case. Okay, so I've got my left hand side. Then I get my flap and pop that underneath, because obviously that's where it's going to kind of fall. So that will mean that it's on that part there. Then I go ahead and pop this pocket on to this part here. Now I know my zip pull's in the wrong place. So before I unravel all of this, I'm actually going to snip here where I've sewn and take that zip pull off. I'm going to snip up top here. I'm not snipping the teeth, I'm just going to get rid of that that thread. I did this last time. Now you could do this, install the pull at this stage if you wanted to. Totally up to you. Okay. So my zip pull needs to come up from this part here, but up and installed up to this part here. So I'm just going to open that bit up, cut a little bit of the tape so I've got no of the stitches. I'm just going to pop that zip on. Got to do it from this side, caggy handed. It's going to click into place, and then you are going to pull. Okay. Okay. There you go. Right, okay, so I've now got it at the top of, so this is my top. Obviously you're looking at it back to front. But I'm going to just pop a clip on this. So I've got the body lining the body, and I've got the actual zip pocket. I'm just going to attach a couple of clips at the bottom so I know which edge this needs to go on. And then when I open this up and I show you, this is my underneath part. So that's on my left. So the pocket needs to be installed on the right hand side of your actual main outer body. Sorry guys, that's a bit of a tongue twister, but it needs to be on the right hand side, and making sure the zip comes down rather than it ending up down at the bottom. Right, okay, so you're going to need to put some clips on either side to attach that pocket, and I'm going to close that zip up. And before we go any further, you're going to put some quilter's tape on that fold there. So if anybody gets stuck, take a photograph, pop it in the group, tag me in the post to make sure you've got the pocket on the right side before you go ahead and base stitch it into place. It's not a stupid question to ask because I don't think I've explained that properly without having a picture. I will probably take a picture as well and pop it into the group and pin it to the top of the group so you guys can see. Right, so I'm now going to stick down that. And if I just fold this in half so I can find the centre top and the centre bottom and pin. You should have that folded edge equal distance away from this crease that I'm going to make. Can you? Okay. Finger crease that part there. And it should be equal distance. So if you want to go from my measurement, you're looking at about 1 3/4 of way from that crease. So it's just about 1/6 inch, 1/6 away from the 1 3/4. So if you've got it round about 1 3/4, you're spot on. Now I'm just going to carry on clipping down these edges. Okay, so this part here, this straight edge, that folded over edge, you're going to sew 2 lines of sewn lines. You're going to do 1/8 of an inch away from that folded line. Then you're going to do 1 at 1/4 of an inch away from that sewn line. So that's just to give you that extra strength. Then you are going to sew 1 row of stitches here. You can do 2 to match that if you want to, but I don't think it's needed. You just need to stitch 1/8 of an inch away, and that's using a stitch length 3.5. And then you're going to basically stitch 1/8 of an inch all the way around, going over the teeth as well to stop the zipper pull from falling off. I'm just going to put that in the centre. You're going to go 1/8 of an inch all the way around, catching all the layers, and then we will trim back that excess zip. Right, let's just put that there. So I'm going to start off on that folded edge, and I'm going to do the first row, which is 1/8 of an inch away from the fold. Don't need to reverse your stitch, no need to. and then you're going to do 1/4 inch away from that sewn line. So it's approximately 1/4 inch. I'm just basically the sew line is right up against the edge of this foot. That just means that I know I'm keeping equal a distance all the way along. Then the next row I'm going to do is the 1/8 inch away from the top of the zip. You might want to close your zip up for this, just to make sure you've got it perfectly neat. And then basically this will now reinforce this top area because you can't put anything in this area. The actual pocket is just this part here at the bottom. So it's 1/8 inch away from the folded edge. Then you're just going to knock your stitch length up to a 5 or a 4, and you're just going to sew around those edges. Let me just make sure that's perfectly straight. Right, so you want to pinch that zip. If you've had to do what I've had to do is rethread the zip pull on. You need to pinch that zip area so you don't have any kinks. That's it. There's only 2 more steps tonight and then we will call it a day. Okay, so we've got that attached. I'm just going to cut off that excess zip. And I know I've got a bit of top part of the fabric showing there. There you go. And down here too. Okay, so you're just going to pop that to one side. You're just going to get your foam. You're going to cut down the foam to the measurements that it said. Now I'm going to... that bit that you've just sewn, the bit with the folded edge, could that be left unsewn so it can be used as a slip pocket? Now, yes, I'm going to say yes. However, you're going to need to put a lining on that top bit. As it is, Princess, I haven't put a line in. Now there is actually enough to actually do a top bit of your fabric left over. However, I wanted a bit of more stabilised in the front. I always worry about ironing over the zips in case it melts them. Nope, they're nylon, so you can iron nylon. As long as you've got it on less than 2 marks on your actual sewing machine. Mine too have. So yeah, you'll definitely need some another piece of fabric, and you will definitely need to interface it. Now your foam should have excess all the way around. Now I haven't got that with this. Because I'm using what's left in my little box below. Pull your zip pull into the centre, and you're going to pin this all the way around. So if you've not got long pins, get some long pins, because we will be doing some projects down the line that you will need to pin this into place. Now you can spray baste it, however you need your windows open. I can't have the windows open when I'm actually doing a Facebook Live because it's noisy. Your foam should be overhanging. If you're like me, where you're being a bit stingy and not cutting any new foam, it needs to be right onto the edge. So where the edge is here, the foam needs to finish on that edge. I'm going to trim back this foam anyway. It's just for now. If you've got a few kinks in it, just stretch the main body piece. It really doesn't matter. So. Make sure you've got no creases or kinks in it, so we'll just keep pushing them out of your fabric. Okay, I'm just going to trim back this excess here because it's going to get in the way. That will come in handy, so don't chuck it. I'll just pop that back in my box. Okay, so you're going to sew 1/4 inch. I think it's 1/4 inch actually. Yeah, so you're going to sew 1/4 inch all the way around to attach this into place, and then you're going to trim back the foam to the edge of the fabric. Now I'm going to use a stitch length number 5 on my sewing machine. Make sure you remove the pins as you go, but don't remove them until you get quite close to those pins. Let's thread. And reverse your stitch at the start and at the end. Caught on something there. Okay. Okay, so I'm now going to trim any foam that I can see that's overhanging the fabric back to the fabric. You're not cutting the fabric, you're actually cutting the foam, and you're going as close as you can to that fabric edge. Now when you actually come to attach your foam to your actual mane, you will need round about this much all the way around. It is in the measurements. Cut the foam to the actual specific measurement. Right. So the last thing we're going to do tonight is, remember that crease line that we did? We're just going to sew right down it so we can identify where the centre is. So that's from there to there, that's where that crease line is, and that's where is actually under the spine bit here. So it's right in this part here. And you're just going to keep it at the stitch length that you just used. If you can't see it, just fold the panel up and then just draw the line back in. I'm not back stitching, no need to back stitch. Okay. It just stops, because we've used sew-in foam, it just stops this fabric from creasing up on this side. Now, if you want to, you can actually do this pocket again on this side, but you'll need another zip and another zip pull. However, you'll need to attach this part now, but then you will lose part of the pocket because of this bit here. So just bear that in mind. If you are going to add another one of these zip pockets on this side, you're just going to lose approximately around about 1.5 inches of that pocket. So it will be smaller depth than this pocket. And then next week, we will attach the flap to this body piece here. But as you can see, this is what mine will look like once it's finished. Once it's finished, it will look like that. And then next week we're going to start the inside of the bag, inside of the case. I'm worried about putting the zip pull on the tape already sewn in place. I use a jig to put, right, okay. If you use a jig, you can still do this method, what I did, how I had to change it over. What you need to do is leave at least an extra 1.5 inches at the bottom or at either side. Now you do get about 3 to 4 inches left over of the zip tape within the bundles that I sent out. So that will basically help you install it. That little extra bit at either end, depending on which side you need to install it. However, what you can do is, Pauline, what you can do is do it mockly. So you haven't installed the zip yet. Implement all the pieces into the correct areas that they should be. Then install the zip, and then write it on the zip tape top. So that's where your top piece should go, or right bottom on the zip tape in friction pen. Doesn't have to be permanent. But then install the zip pull, and then that means that you know which side of the zip you need to actually put either the bottom of the fabric of the pocket or the top part of the pocket. Pauline, if you're stuck, please message me. I would gladly help you. You know I help anybody in this group, so I'm always at your guys' beck and call. I really love the choice of fabric. Yeah, thanks, Dawn. Michelle and me were chatting earlier on, Michelle from the group. You think if you're in tiers 2 and 3, I know I got quite a really good reception of the boxes, because obviously Fred Gang's, the club has changed. It's gone a little, I've stepped up what you get given and stuff like that. Wait until next box. I love next box. So yeah, I'm just hoping, like I said to Michelle, there's something stuck in the EU, and I'm hoping it comes in time before I have to pack up all the boxes. Yeah, I like next box. I've had some pulls made as well. So there is some zip pulls in there, I'm going to say that. There is some zip pulls, but I've had some made. And I want everybody to comment on what they think they look like. Right, so is there any more questions? Pauline, just message me if you need to. Anybody message me, or even ask the question within the group. Fred, I love Fred. I've actually got some Freds on order, but unfortunately, I'm going to say they're made in China. They're manufactured in China. But unfortunately, they are Fred the Hedgehog. Yeah, Fred the Hedgehog. Unfortunately, because they're in strict lockdowns in certain areas, they haven't been shipped, and I ordered them 5 weeks ago. So yeah, that's why my hardware is a bit low in the shop, because we're all having problems worldwide, because Shanghai is where most of the metal industry is, with the metal hardware. So yeah, for the zip, Fred, yeah, I'm working on it. Yeah, Princess, we are working on, I am designing some zip pulls. That's the reason why my iPad's going with me on holiday, because when they're doing their hiking and stuff, I can't do some of the activities they do, so I'll be drawing away, and you know I'll design something. Yeah, I've already got one in a manufacturer at the moment. So yeah, you guys get those, not this next box, the box after. I've had to plan like 9 months in advance on each box, if you understand where I'm coming from. Right, okay, so I'm going to go, because I'm going to let Michael go and play on the Xbox now. Right, so there's a few things I've changed in the group for this month. If you want to join us on Zoom, which is tier 3 people, but it's open to any of the members from the other 2 tiers, it's £1.80. We just basically chat. We talk about anything, don't we, ladies? Yeah, so I can't remember what we were talking about last time, but I was in stitches when I came off. I just literally was crying with stitches, crying with laughter. But it's on the 23rd. Just bear with me. Yeah, it's on the 23rd of this month, because the following Monday I'm actually going away for a week. So yeah, the Zooms are great. They are great. Yeah. So yeah, it's totally up to you if you want to join. Message me, then I will invoice you the £1.80 just to come in, and then I will send you a link later on in the month. I remember it's been, yeah, the last Zoom was really good. It was funny. There was only about 10 of us last time. Oh no, I honestly love teaching, so you don't need to keep saying thank you and all that lot. It's what you pay me for, guys. It's what you pay me for. And oh, you're welcome. Right, stop saying thank you, everybody. Right, okay, so I'm gonna go. And yeah. Oh, just a quick question. Anybody got an overlocker? Can you, I'm going to put a question out in the group. Can you just comment what overlocker you've got? Because I'm actually going to get an overlocker. I've been using my mum's, and it's got the knobs on the front. There's no thread guides, like coloured guides. And I can't thread it without my mum being there. But my mum tried the other day, bless her, after a stroke. She's lost quite a lot of her memory. She basically tried to show me how to thread it, and she was getting it all wrong, and I can't do it without having my mum there. So I need an overlocker for this end, this house here. So please, when I put the thing up in the group in a bit, can you comment below what overlocker you've got, so I can have a read into it, and is it easy? Just give me your general opinion of what to stay away from. So have a nice evening, and I'll see you all soon. Bye.